I was sitting here remembering when I first started my professional work. At the same time, I started the practice of meditation. So almost 50 years ago. And like many of you, maybe, my education was more technical. My education was technical. Can you hear me? Yeah. And I really didn't learn anything about human beings. Even the so-called humanities sciences really don't teach you to live with others, right? So I was great at dealing with things and numbers. I studied chemistry, food chemistry. I worked in R&D, research and development, for maybe 10 years. And I was great at the work. It was like to study how things are put together. My specialty was actually essential oils, plant oils, especially the nice plant oils like lavender, things like that. So I ended up working, first of all, in the food industry and then in the cosmetics industry. I worked for several years with a company called Max Factor. I don't even know if they're still around, in their lab. And then I started to work with perfumes. It was very interesting that everything that I'd studied really prepared me to work with things and numbers and formulas and substances and physical objects. But nothing prepared me to work with other human beings. And I'm sure many of you have had that. Who here has had a technical background, like engineering, IT, or whatever? Yeah. Even if you didn't have any technical background, nothing in our education prepares us to live and work with other human beings. Because you know what? Our parents and teachers also didn't know, mostly. So what could they teach us? You just learn by doing it, right? You just learn by facing it. You just learn by, you know, bashing your head against walls. So I started to figure out, because at the same time I was starting to practice meditation, I'm talking about 1974, 75. I'd taken a few years off actually to travel. And in that trip, I actually, again, I was teaching myself. I was also at the same time, because I was traveling around, I couldn't really work in a fixed job. So I was working as a musician, because I also am a musician. And I remember, and this is then there was a third aspect, which was, okay, I'm dealing with people, I'm dealing with things and numbers and stuff, but I'm also dealing with myself, those three things. And it's sort of, you know, it's really an art to juggle all of those three things, because problems with others, I sort of run away from. I don't know where I go. Problems with things, I also maybe get run to another side. But problems with myself, where can I run to? Wherever I go, I'm with me. So it's like it's like it's like there's a permanent commentary going on inside of our heads about ourselves and about people and about things. Those are the three popular topics internally. Either it's a thing or a mixture of things, which is called an event, or a mixture of things and people actually is called an event, and myself. Now, of those three, I'm absolutely obliged to stay with me. I can't go anywhere on this planet to get away from me. Isn't it? Somebody did a sort of a subtle aha in the form of a And so this is where it all starts, the whole thing of harmonizing or not being able to harmonize. It's about my relationship with myself. If that doesn't go well, if I'm not my own friend, I won't be particularly friendly with others. If I don't know myself deeply, I cannot know others at all. And that's where it starts. And I figured out that I absolutely needed to learn meditation for that reason. Before Brahma Kumaris, I was trying to teach myself. I'm particularly interested in Raj Yoga or Patanjali to the extent that I decided to take some time off. And how it happened was like this. If you like stories, stories are better than talking about theories. I had a partner in as a musician, right? We were like a duo. I would play guitar, he would play flute. And it was all very avant-garde and sort of jazz, jazz rock, you could say. And he was so unreliable. You'd set a time and a place to meet him. If he'd showed up at like a couple of hours late or not at all. And I started to get, sick of dealing with his he was living on the moon. And it was a time of the 70s in London. This is where I was. And 70s in London, all young people were all sort of dressed funnily. And I decided I've had it. I'm going to just dissolve the partnership. It's not going to work. So I decided to go for a walk, and I decided to go for a walk in a forest that I wanted to see. On the eastern edge of London, there's a forest called Epping Forest, and it was like March, I think. It was March, and I came to. I decided to go to this place, so I got in the subway, what they call the Underground in London, in West London, and I had to travel all the way across London under the ground, about an hour underground, and get out the other side and walk for 20 minutes. And so I was just when I got in, it was a brilliant sunny day. Of course, it was early spring, but when I got out the other side, it was snowy. It's unusual in London in March, but it was snowy. And everything had a fine coat of sort of white, fine snow. It was beautiful. I said, this is nice. I didn't have any raincoat or umbrella or anything. I decided to walk in the snow anyway. I went to the park, the forest. I went in, and there were not many people there because it was a weekday, and it was sort of weather was not the best. And I found a place to sit down. The snow stopped. Everything was completely white and silent. Have you been in a place like that? White silence. Yeah. It snows here, right? Regularly. Okay. So I'm sitting there enjoying, and I'd been also studying this book by Swami Vivekananda on Raj Yoga. So I started to think about those ideas, and suddenly, I got into a state. I don't know what it was, but it seemed like the mind was detaching from the rest of the body. No, it wasn't on drugs or anything, but I was just sort of, suddenly I was beyond. And I looked at my feet, they seemed so far away, you know. I looked at my hands, oh my God, I'm not my hands. They seem like something foreign, you know. And I had the distinct experience that I was a mind inside here, and my eyes were like windows, and everything seemed so far away, you know. I didn't know what was going on. And at the same time, I felt incredible peace, an incredible state of love for everything and everyone. But I couldn't pin it down what was going on. So in that state of sort of bliss, I'd had some sort of out of the body experience. And I was walking was weird because it was like I was driving a crane, not even a car, driving a crane, sort of moving along. My legs seemed far away, my hands, and everything seemed so part of the same thing. And then I got to the station, got into the underground again, and that was even weirder because I'm seeing all of these people. Who are these people? What is going on? Anyway, I stayed in that state of sort of peace, I would say, for a couple of days. And then I said, I really need to understand what this is all about. And of course, as I said before, this is where harmony starts, me with myself, right? So let me understand me. And I decided to go to Morocco because it was a sort of the most exotic place close to London, you could say, because otherwise go to Europe is pretty much the same as London. And I decided to go to Morocco. So I hitchhiked all the way down to the south of Spain, and I crossed to a small Spanish sort of enclave on the north coast of Morocco called Ceuta. And then I got out there and I started to walk along the road towards Tangier, which is sort of opposite the Straits of Gibraltar. It's around that area on this African side. I was walking along and I saw this sort of an old fort, that an old Spanish fort, probably because that whole area used to be Spanish. And then it was maybe a few hundred years old. Had been abandoned. And so I decided this looks like a good place. It was on a promontory. There was a stream nearby, and this looks like a good place. So I just cleaned it up and moved in. And I stayed there for almost 6 months. And I was alone, just with the universe. was all very idyllic and sort of, it seems like a fairy story when I think about it. And, I had with me my guitar, of course. That actually helped me because I made friends with the local people. They adopted me. They actually gave me a name, Hassan, which means the prince. And I was near that. This fort was near an old Muslim saint's grave. So they thought that this is something special. Who is this guy? And they adopted me because of the music. So every Friday I'd go with them to their little village and we'd have a jam session. It was absolutely amazing. They are such great musicians and we would play together. And in return, they brought me food, so it was a good arrangement. I couldn't speak Arabic. Um, I could speak French, where a lot of people around spoke French. But I was there trying to understand myself. And I don't recommend that you do that sort of thing. Go to a place alone and try to understand the universe. You can have some insights, but we all need some sort of guidance. But I had with me, look what I had. I had a copy of the New Testament. I had a copy of the Quran. I had a copy of the Dhammapada, which is the scripture of the Buddhists. I had several of the Upanishads, which are like, you could say they're like dialogues between masters and disciples. And I had the Bhagavad Gita with me. So I would study, meditate, play music, watch the seasons go by. First time in my life I saw all of the phases of the moon live, because it was the time of the year it was dry, so every night was just brilliantly starlit. But what I was trying to understand was how I worked internally. And I really couldn't get to it. And I was even more confused because I was looking at these different scriptures and they were saying pretty much the same thing. Especially, I mean, not the stories. Actually, some of the stories are pretty similar, like the parables and the lessons and things like that. But the appeal for us to be better people, you'll see it in all of them. You have to be more loveful. You have to be more respectful. You have to be more kind. You have to be more tolerant. You have to be more patient. And you find that in all of them. Okay, you have to be better. Okay. How? How? That you don't find. It's as if we've got these examples in front of us and we've got these appeals for us to be kind and loving human beings, but you really don't find out how. Except, you have to pray, you have to do this and to do that. But there was nothing about how we actually work internally, right? That I could fix it up. What is the mind? What is the intellect? And how do they work together? I came across the idea of sanskars, but sanskars are like impressions that are recorded in us from everything we think, say, and do. So how do these things work together? And how do you fix it? You know how many thoughts you could have in a day? How many thoughts could you have in a day? Yeah? What if your mind is faster than that? Pardon? 90. That's a good number. 90,000. Because there are 1,000 minutes, if you multiply, there's 1,440 minutes in a day. if you multiply 60 by 24, 1,440 minutes. Seems a lot, doesn't it? And then if you say, just to make the calculation easy, you rest for 440 minutes, which is a bit over 7 hours, and you're awake for 1,000 minutes. And if something is happening in your mind every second, that's 60,000. But if you've got a faster mind, you've got something happening every half second, that's 120,000. So 90,000, a pretty good calculation. Now, what do you do with all of that? How do you manage all of that? And how much of that is actually useful? How much of our mental activity is actually useful or even real? I would be less optimistic than 10%. 3-4%. Somebody, I don't know how they did this, they did a study that showed that 97% of the time that we are worried is completely useless because it has nothing to do with reality. It's our own thinking. And if this happens, and if that happens, and if Johnny doesn't come home after school, and so 1 hour late and it's dark, and, you know, and what will happen if my kid goes to college? And, you know, I've read all of these. I remember when I was at college and what happened, you know, my poor kid, what's going to happen to him? You know, that sort of thing. And you get a sort of a pain in your leg. Oh my God. You know, you remember your aunt who had to have her leg amputated or something. You know, we just, what they say, shooting in the wind. And it's really not connected with reality. So let's have a pause. And then if you got any question, we have a meditation. We have some questions and then we can carry on, okay? Because I want to bring it to dealing with myself and then being able to deal with others. Yeah? So let's all of us now sit very royally on your seats, like you're a king or a queen, just sitting there. Just imagine your face being extremely relaxed. And just observe. Just observe the moment. Hold the moment. Don't need to change the lights. Don't need music. Just observe. Meditation, really, you don't even need to close your eyes because it's not the body that's meditating. But if you've got your eyes open, keep them sort of unfocused. With the attention going inwards. So you're aware of the world around you. You can, because your eyes are sort of half open, you can see colors and shapes. You can hear sounds. You're aware of the temperature. Your own breathing should be quite natural. Then in the same way you're sitting on your physical seat, just visualize a sort of a subtle seat behind the eyes in the middle of the forehead, in between the two sides of the brain, an inch or two back. And just sit there mentally. And feel the following. Meditation is much more about feeling than thinking. Feel. But because you are not jumping around, you're not in the past, you're not in the future, you're not in another place, you are here and now. And you give yourself the chance to experience peace. You feel quite calm. And because you don't have any sort of desires at the moment, you're not wanting anything actually at this moment. You feel content. And because you're not divided, you feel strength, power. So feel those things. The world's whizzing around, but you're in the center of it all, just quiet and stable. In fact, you don't need to think much. You just have to be. Be. Peace is actually an internal state. It's not something outside of me. Love also is an internal state. It's not in someone else. Not in something else. It's in me. Happiness also is an internal state. Really got nothing to do with laughing and smiling. It's an internal deep state of contentment. So feel those things. This is the real me. I'm this spiritual being going through this human experience and not a human being looking for a spiritual experience. And my qualities, my deep qualities are peace, love, and happiness. Just feel that. Okay, the world is doing what it has to do, but I am inside my own self. Peaceful, loving, and contented being. That's the real me. Okay, having figured that out, let's open our eyes more. And we come back to this, to the room here. If you could experience that more and more constantly and consistently, how would you be? Huh? What would happen? Yeah, we would live more in reality. Less thoughts. We think less and think better. Anything else?
Light.
Peace. Peace. What else? Happiness.
Light.
Light. Someone said light? Yeah. But in practical terms, how would that help you in your relationships with others? You'd be more accepting. What? More harmony. What did you say the other day? Harmony? And what does it mean? So there's an expression in Hindi, harmony, which means to let go of the ego. Huh? Accepting defeat, sort of bowing, okay, acknowledging. I don't like that, to accept defeat so much, but to accept that you're wrong, maybe. And therefore it is connected with letting go of the ego. And this is the big problem. Our number one enemy is not someone else. It's our own ego. You know, poor Mr. Freud, he popularized that word, ego, as being, he was talking about the interface between an inner state, which he called id, and the reality around us. That interface he called the ego. But ego is just, actually, it's a Greek word that means I. Can you imagine how it is for a Greek person to conquer ego? It means literally I. If you say, I'm going to the bank in Greek, it's ego, going to the bank. I don't know the rest of it. Ego, I. So how many times do you use the word I in a week? How many times? So imagine the Greeks, how many times they use the word ego in a week. It's the same. And so actually, it's not that the ego is our worst enemy. It can be. But if it's the interface, what it is that this energy of consciousness is inside, and it has a history, it has a past, it has an accumulation of past lives, which are all recorded in the self. And then that self comes from somewhere else, goes into the womb of a mother, spends several months there, then is born in a new body. And, here I am. But in fact, I have a past. And I really don't know. In fact, I've come to that family because of commitments that were somehow or the other previously formed. I had something to give or to take with these people. And this is my dear mum, and this is my new mum and my new dad. And I'm there, a little baby. Just imagine, I'm a soul. I come from somewhere else, and there I am in a little baby's body. Who are these people? Where am I? And of course, I can't express that, so I cry. Cry. Why do babies cry? It's because they can't express themselves any other way, actually. Suddenly they're sitting there and they start crying for no, they remembered something. Where's Aunt Julie? And that stay, the first years of our lives, we're actually dissolving anything that's left over, so that by the time we're about 4 or 5, we don't remember a thing. And we've started to get used to the new life. And I don't know I don't know how they figured this out, but the only human beings who are 100% present are little babies. 100% present. They even don't know where their hand finishes and the crib starts, or where their hand finishes and the finger of the mum starts. It's all one. Where they're crawling up, when they start to crawl around, they don't know the difference between their knees and the stairs that they're crawling up. They don't know. Or the carpet in the hands, right? If they're crawling around the floor. It's quite fascinating to watch young babies, how they get, and then, and even young children, we get sort of embarrassed by their frankness sometimes, isn't it? They come out with absolute stunners, the way they say things. And you know what it is? It's because they, and this study showed that when we are 4, we are 80% present. We've started to get a bit of past and future idea. When we are 8, we are 60% present. When we are 14, we are 40% present. When we are 18, we were 20% present. And when we are adults, a miserly 3% of the time we are present. I'm present here. I'm not thinking about what I'm going to do next. I'm driving. I'm completely where I am, and I'm not thinking about Indianapolis, right? I'm not thinking about the program that's going to happen in a few hours. I'm not thinking about some people, while they're eating lunch, they're already talking about dinner. Have you ever noticed that? There's such a delicious dish in front of them, and they're remembering other recipes. So you see, we are not present most of the time. We are thinking about the next thing or the next scene or the next conversation. Or when I get back to Brazil, for example, I'm here and on Monday I go back to Brazil and there's a whole agenda in front of me. And well, actually, I will think about that when I get there. But most of us don't organize ourselves like that. You do the minimum arrangements, but then you leave the rest to whatever turns out. Because you can't predict everything. In fact, very rarely our plans actually turn out as we planned them. So in relationships, you're talking to someone and you're actually not listening to them because you're listening to your previous conversations with the person. You're listening to the information someone else gave you about this person. Be careful, this person is nasty, this person is a liar, this person is not honest, be careful. And there I am, hello, how are you? Fine. But those influences are there, right? So how can I be completely objective? And it's a beautiful, I saw recently the Japanese word for presence. Beautiful. It's a sort of that's designed, right? It's a designed ideogram. But the word contains with it, that ideogram contains within itself ears, eyes, hearts. Hearts are connected. So I've got my eyes in your eyes. I'm all ears. Our hearts are connected. And there's also a line that connects us, the connection itself. And there's the word king in there. So I'm treating someone as a king. So I'm present. Eyes, ears, hearts, and I'm treating others in the best possible way. That's all in one word. Isn't that beautiful? So if I really want to harmonize with someone, I have to be, first of all, present, and I have to be quiet internally. I have to be allowing them to be what they are rather than my previous opinion of them. Often when we meet someone, It's not actually a meeting between two souls. It's a meeting between two reputations. So that person's thinking about, oh, who's this person in front of me? I've heard about him. I've heard he's like this and he did like that. And then I'm doing the same with, hey, this person. My mother told me to be careful of this person. She gave me a really bad report about him. And so two reputations meet, and neither of them are actually their reputation. Are you your reputation? Are you what people think about you? Are you? Maybe I've given sort of, how do you say, credence. I've given some sort of I've lent some truth to their vision of me, maybe, but not. No. I'll give you an example. I was driving back um, from a town called Florianopolis, a city in south of Brazil, to another city called Curitiba. And we had a center, Brahma Kumaris center. And I was with the guy who lives in the center. He was driving. And he lives in that place with another two people. And so I asked him, how many centers do we have in Curitiba? He looked at me and said, well, we've only got one. I said, no, you've got 5. We've got your center, the way you see it, the way you think about it, the way you define it, what your image of it is in your mind. You've got the center that's of the other two people there, so that makes 3. There's my center, the way I see it, and I only come there infrequently. My vision of that place and all of its meaning is different from yours. Obviously, he lives there, I don't. So my idea, my feelings, and his idea, his feelings are different. And then you have the other two who are also, one of them spends a lot of time out of there because he's got a really tough job. Because we are volunteers, so we also work. And, the other one, actually, he just lost his job. So his idea of the place is sort of sort of a rest home, maybe. And then you have the center as it really is with no one's opinion involved. So there are 5 centers here. Which one are we going to? I said to him. And it's true, isn't it? The person, you think about your relationships, wives, husband, children. Your idea of them is not what they are. It's partial, isn't it? It's subjective. It's not objective. It's all of the hurt and the pain and the confusion and joy that you've experienced with that person. It's all mixed up together. And so here comes my son, who's that bundle of joy and sorrow, right? Because there's been suffering involved, right? Did you ever suffer with your children? Hand up. Yeah. Do you still suffer with them? No, you've gone beyond that. Okay, great. What about your parents? Did you ever suffer with your parents? Let's be honest. Brothers and sisters? Okay. Boss? So all of that is mixed up together, forming our opinion of someone. Forming our opinion of someone. And I have to take a step back and allow people to be what they really are without my opinion. If I can do that, I can get along. If I'm stuck in my own view, I'll probably have an argument because they'll be inevitably stuck in their view too. So this is even stranger. All of the people that we carry in our minds don't exist. Like our image of them. They have their own existence. This one in here doesn't exist really. It's let's say I've met the person 10 times in my life. I've met one person, say, twice. And both times he sort of really showed me that he was irresponsible. So in my mind, immediately underneath his sort of image in the gallery of people in my head, irresponsible. But let's say that in his whole life, the only two times that he was ever irresponsible were those two times. Can I say that? So just be gentle in categorizing people. None of those categories are right. Maybe something or the other. And do you think that that would help you to get along better with people? If you allow them to be what they are and not what your opinion is? If you allow the facts to take shape rather than your own opinion or even the opinions of others? And I told this story in Chicago and how we see people, even strangers, you know. It was an area of Sao Paulo where I live. It's a pretty violent area, uh, lots of murders and stuff, and assaults, robberies. And this guy told me this. He lived on a hill, and down on the main avenue, there was on the corner there was a bakery shop where you could stop and order some rolls or some cakes and coffee and all of that, right? And the lighting of the street was pretty bad for some reason, so you could hardly see. So he's going down about 9 p.m. He wanted to go down and buy a few things, so he's walking down the street, and as he's walking down the street in the dark, he sees this other person coming up, right? And he's thinking, my God, this guy's going to rob me. It really looks dangerous, Look at him, the way he's walking. He's probably trying to work out how much he can rob from me. So, he was very insecure and afraid. Anyway, he gets to the shop and gets some coffee and eating a cinnamon roll or something. And pretty soon after that, the guy that he'd crossed paths with also came back, and he comes in and he sits down near, and he said, "Oh my God, it's the same guy that I just crossed paths with." Anyway, the guy said, "Aren't you the same person that I just saw coming down as I was going up? I saw you. Are you the same person?" He said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, I was terribly afraid of you because I thought you were going to rob me." And then the other one said, "Yeah, I thought you were going to rob me." Isn't that classic, isn't it? What you think, what you imagine, so our suffering, I would say, is a few facts and a lot of stuffing, a lot of imagination. So stick with the facts, stick with a very objective approach to things, and look at things from a higher level. Then you won't, you know, you probably not have difficulties with others. You won't have to, what is it, accept defeat. course, you won't be defeated. Before someone defeats us, we defeat ourselves, always. I rob myself of peace and then I start looking for it. Or I allow someone else to take my happiness away and then I start looking for it. Here, I don't value my happiness too much. Here, you can take it. Why would we do that? So let's have another meditation now, and then if there are any questions, we can finish off. So again, just sit nicely. And in meditation, there's another factor that we have to put into things. Because I do have these qualities. Yes, I am a peaceful soul. I'm a loveful soul. I am a happy soul. These are my deep qualities. But I need something to keep them more permanent. I need power. I can't create my own power. I'm like a battery that's used up. Even though, let's say in our house, we have all of these marvelous appliances and electrodomestic stuff, electrodomestical appliances. But if the light companies shut off the electricity, you've got all these house full of marvelous gadgets, but none of them work. Why? No power. You've got these personal, I call them, wait a minute, what did I do with it? Here it is. These personal molesters that we call cell phones. This thing can do so many. I can look at my bank account, I can read a book, I can watch a film, I can record a conversation, I can take a video or photo, I can play games, I can listen to the radio. What? I can spy on my children. I can control all of the appliances at home if I've got a smart home, right? But if it doesn't, is it charged? It's useless. Useless. In the same way, I could do so many things. I can do so many things. If I'm not charged, forget it. So we need a sort of a charging station. And that's what actually the one that we call God or Jehovah or Shiva or Allah, the Great Spirit this is the place of the big indigenous populations, Indiana, isn't it? The plains, the Great Plains, and the buffaloes, and all of that. At least if I remember my history, where are they actually? Where are the tribes these days? Been pushed into little places and little corners, but these I have to sort of see all of these things and get myself charged up. Even they would have called God the Great Spirit or something similar to that. They had a profound understanding of nature and the ways of nature. But everyone sort of ran out of gas, you could say. Everyone sort of depleted, spiritually depleted. Otherwise, everything would be easy. If I had spiritual power, I would never get upset because my power would be more than anything that was happening. But because I'm depleted, my power goes down. Anything that's happened is bigger than me, more powerful than me. So we need to charge ourselves. We need to have that connection with the divine. Because I've got the qualities, but I don't have the power to keep them running, to keep them working. So let's have some meditation, keeping that in mind. Again, just sit very royally and don't need to keep your eyes open. Just let them remain unfocused. Just allow the world to do what it's doing. All of my relationships and connections can give me leave for 5 minutes, surely. So who am I? I'm this spiritual being. I may have forgotten it, but actually my qualities are peace, love, and happiness. So I'm remembering that. Meditation is much better defined as remembering than anything else. I'm just remembering who I am. I'm remembering my qualities. I'm remembering that there's a dimension beyond this physical universe, not in the sense of physical distance, but transcending. In one thought, I can jump to that dimension of light. It's actually the home of the soul, not a physical place, spiritual place, where I was before I came here, first time. And after a long process where I'll have to go back to. But the main resident of that place, that dimension, is the one we call God or Allah, Jehovah, Shiva, Ishwar, Prabhu, so many names, Bhagwan. So in my mind's eye, I see this, it's sort of a spiritual sun, not of light and heat, but just spiritual power. So mentally, I'm in front of that one and just soaking up the rays, soaking up the current. I feel beyond everything that's happening. And I feel that I am getting charged. I'm filled actually not just with power, but with the understanding also. If that one has love for every single one, every single human soul, whoever they may be, why wouldn't I have that love? I'm this peaceful being, but I'm connected with the powerhouse, making sure that the peace stays. In fact, because this makes me feel very secure, knowing that I can come back to this connection anytime I want. Just a question of remembering. Just going beyond for a short while and remembering. That's it. Okay, with that, let's open our eyes more. And let's come back to the room here. Okay? Om Shanti. Do you have any questions or any comments? Anyone? There is another mic, I believe. I saw one around somewhere. Oh, someone at the back. Someone at the back. I don't guarantee that I know the answer, but
Om Shanti. I think the question which I'm going to ask is it's about your story when as you mentioned about your partner in the music when you started and he was uh, on a moon and he was not regular in his work or his daily duties and you moved out of it, right? However, with the meditation and we have been following meditation and so I'm my own boss now and I'm in the same stage and I'm building up something.
well, at that time I didn't know about meditation really.
How do we deal with this? Because we have partners, we have team, we have subordinate. There is, and daily task has to be done.
I think, first of all, I mean, this is a completely different topic, you could say, but it's true. I did work in that field for many years and leadership development. I had this course that I developed for the Telefonica company. It's the second biggest telecommunications company in the world. And I developed this course for the top 1,400 executives. So it's not that I'm unfamiliar with the sort of thing that you're asking. But first of all, Leadership 101, right? If there was such a course. In fact, leadership is not a course. Who gives us the title of leader are our people, not because I have the job to be the boss. But the question that I always ask those who like to think of themselves as leaders, are your people happier when you arrive or when you leave? What it means is, it doesn't mean you have to be a goody angel, but you have to be fair. If you want the best out of your people, you have to make sure that you are fair, make sure that you don't lose your respect no matter what they do. You can talk about tough things respectfully, and you can also talk about tough things in a very, disparaging way. If you want to get the best out of your people, if you want people to feel, let's say, if you want them to work on all pistons, fire away, you have to, as a leader, you have to be the first one that is interpreting things, the meaning of things. What is the meaning of this? Because if people don't know the meaning of what they're doing, they will perform more badly. They also need to feel that they belong, not that they're sort of, a token, not that they have a token involvement, but you make them feel that they're part of it. And that's the job of the leader. The next thing is it has to be a safe place where people can give their ideas. because people need a certain amount of autonomy to perform. So a safe place for giving ideas. You have to create an atmosphere of trust, and that you do by delegating in the best way possible. Then you'll notice that, then you'll be there also keeping them enthusiastic. Lots of things, right? But you just don't produce results by asking someone to do something. You have to help them. And if after all of your what happened in the professional world, let's say someone is willing and able, what do? That person is willing to do it and is able to do it. What do? You just fire them up. You just wind them up and set them off, right? Don't try to micromanage someone who's willing and able. Second is the sort of person who's willing but not able. What do? You train them, prepare them. What if the person is able but not willing? Motivate. What if the person is unwilling and unable? What do? Fire them? No. At least you should have a conversation with them. What's going on? It may be depression, even things, something like that. Try to understand. Always try to understand, and don't try to be the owner of the understanding. I got it? I listen to people not to be understood, but I listen to people to understand them. And that's a very good art. Okay, leadership is an art. It's not a science. Okay, anything else? Well, what's that? I mean, you're a thirsty person. Actually, that's the world record water container I've ever seen. Congratulations if you drink that much water in a day. Yeah? Yeah, sure.
It was a lesson that I didn't learn until after I sold my business. And I think that if I would have seen the divine within the perceived troublemaker, or the person who wasn't doing what they were, what their job title was making them do, I realized that the shift that I made within myself to accept them, radical acceptance of what they were, and I let go of the trigger of them being late every day, that it dissolved, that it no longer was a problem when I was more willing to see them as a fragment of the one.
Really, that's great. We could maybe, all of us together, we could write a book on this, actually. What works and what doesn't work. Anyone else?
Can I ask a question, brother?
Yeah, there's a voice from the ether. Go.
So is there any, do you have any material on YouTube, like from your leadership courses, or,
if you're interested, I've got a YouTube channel called Live and Meditate. Live and Meditate. I mean, there are lots of little videos on these topics.
Excellent.
If you're interested. But
thank you.
I'm not the sort of person that goes around filming and recording everything I say and do. I don't do that. That's not my thing. But there are maybe 200 short videos on this channel. Live and meditate. Yeah?
Yeah,
It's
thank
on
you.
Facebook also, by the way.
Thank you, first of all, brother, and everyone, all the souls that have come here. Really appreciate the pearls of wisdom. Just adding on to, I think, what Sanchit Bhai and the sister was mentioning about, how do we integrate at work? It's a very different environment. Spirituality, is sometimes it feels polar. Or like I remember a time when corporate America, felt like it was 180 opposite, or any corporate environment is 180 opposite of like the spirituality. But what I felt over time is like if we can, the days actually that give me the most happiness at work are not where, I might have gotten something done or whatever. And if I put pressure on somebody and I was getting pressure and I'm passing on the pressure, it doesn't give the happiness. But actually the days where I'm able to soak in or I'm able to like really empower somebody else, that is what gives the most bliss at the end of the day when I think about how the day went. So just talking about the subject of harmony and kind of integrating wherever, whichever are the days when I can integrate some of the spirituality feels really, feels great compared to any accomplishment at work.
Yeah, I mean, the whole thing of, though they never say it, people can understand that if there's an atmosphere of respect and willingness to understand things, it's much more productive than a sort of a fear and control sort of environment.
Sure.
People running to one quarter. I used to have a lot of fun going into companies and asking them. You see at the reception as you go in, our values, this, and this, and then you ask the people, do you know what the values of the company are? Let me think. It's not real. It's not real. It's a strange atmosphere. But when I've seen people where there's fairness and where there's respect and where there's, let's say, camaraderie, right, friendliness, it's fantastic because their running costs go down and their productivity goes up 99% of the time. Much better than command and control. And it's so weird, the environment at the moment is like heavy seas and changing winds and big waves and this and that, and people are trying to swim the way they used to when they were in a swimming pool. Doesn't work. That sort of train doesn't help you with the big waves. You've got to know how to surf, right? Get your surfboard out and, well, this is not a place where you have surfing, right? Anyway, folks, thanks for all. And maybe Francis can come and share a few words because he's done a big job of integrating things. Come, Francis, come here for a few minutes. No, but you're on, you can. He lives in our retreat center and runs a company of installing solar energy in hotels and you name it, hospitals.
Yeah, so for me, I've been taking so much benefit about the teachings that Brahma Kumaris has been offering. And this topic about to be in harmony with myself, I feel that's very, very important because the result that everything that comes from my actions is based on the quality that I have been experiencing inside. And I'm not sure here, but in Brazil, if you dedicate time, energy for your self-development, you can be seen as a little selfish. Why you are not coming with us, why you are not living this social lifestyle standard. Because in Brazil, the Latin people, they are very big families. with parties every time, every weekend, soccer, so a lot of expansion. But I realized that people, they are really lost. The happiness that they are showing is not real and not true. So I every day in the morning I say thanks for the opportunity of studying this knowledge, the opportunity to live as I always was trying to live, which is in a happy way, peaceful way, and most important, to feel freedom, to feel free. So I used to work in a telecom industry. It's not an easy environment, let's say, but it's a great school. But nowadays, because we know that the condition of the world, what's showing us these climate changes and our interaction with nature, I've been working with renewable energy initiatives, which is part of Brahma Kumaris also. Brahma Kumaris has a big project on that. And this is helping people also. So it's amazing how my self-progress is connected to the success which I have in my professional side. It's amazing. If you are happy, whatever thing you do, people, they feel that, you know. And many times in the past, I used to try to be someone, you know, in meetings and conversations, you are not allowed to express yourself. So for me, it's important you have a purpose in life. If you are able to synchronize your purpose of life with your job, that's great. But if not, there is a good reason also. It's an opportunity for you to serve others. So it's an opportunity for you to be some kind of light in that place. So it requires you to not be too much attached, to not have too much expectations, but also to help in a different level. So we are having a situation in the south of Brazil with big floods, a lot of heavy rains happening there. And there are many people that's going there to help. Also, we were helping physically, donating clothes and food, water. But there's one kind of help that no one is doing, which is sending vibrations, send light, send these wishes of comfort and peace. So there are many different ways that we can help people. And Brahma Kumari is showing me that I can help my friends, my family. But first I have to help myself. And one thing that it's great that I learned here is that not only to give sorrow, but also not take sorrow. So the only way that I can really love my family, my friends, and myself is develop this sense of resilience, which for me, it's what the call of the time is indicating us. Okay, so I'm happy to be here. Thanks for a very nice place, very nice opportunity to meet each one of you. And you are all invited to go to Brazil. If you any chance you are there, go have a nice place there.
Okay, Mary, come and say hello to everyone too. You've been sitting there calmly. Dear Mary Ben.
Om Shanti. Finally, I'm here. It was well worth waiting for to come to this beautiful place. And also this topic, which we're really going very deeply, I feel, into this topic of inner harmony and then expressing it in an outer way in the world, because we're taking up this topic every day, really. We had
And I have to do it differently every day, otherwise I get bored.
Right. But that's what I mean is it's not different, but it's getting, in a way, it's getting deeper and more refined, I would say. At least my understanding, I would say, of the topic is getting deeper and more refined every day. And this realization that the most important thing that I can do for myself in life is maintain my inner harmony. And if I lose my inner harmony, that's my first responsibility, is to deal with it in a respectful and peaceful and truthful way. And so it's not about being alone or being with others. It's I really have to do both at the same time. And this is I think the joy of this state of being, which we call soul consciousness, which means I'm a soul, but I'm in this body, and I'm taking my inner spiritual resources and sharing them with the world and experiencing the inner spiritual resources of others. And it's a very beautiful way to relate to other people, isn't it? It's not that I'm giving and you're taking, and it's not the other way around, but spiritual energy just is. And it's constantly moving. And so to be part of that flow, it to me is the real wonder of spiritual life. So as I said, I'm very happy to be here with you. We have a very good driver. I discovered this morning, Brother Ashok. Where's Brother Ashok? There he is. He drove us here very nicely and very quickly and very smoothly. And so look forward to coming here. Where's Sarabhai? Yeah, coming here frequently. And also, we'd like you to all come to Chicago sometime in August. We have some programs with Asha Didi from ORC, some of you who are with the Brahma Kumaris. And we also have a brand new place, also brand new, in West Chicago, the place that used to be Naperville. They got a wonderful building on a lot of land in West Chicago. So we'd like you to come and visit us in Chicago and see the new place. And I know Sarab is really good at organizing caravans to go to Peace Village. So if you can organize a caravan to come to Chicago, we'll take good care of you. You set very high standards, but we will learn how to live up to them.
Wow, yeah.
First step. Thank you so much, Brother Ken, Brother Francis, Sister Mary. Let us have a. I was really, really touched by the depth to which Brother shared, along with the practicality and the ease of approach. Yes, Yusufbhai.
There are some questions in the Zoom chat.
Yeah, there was one question from the Zoom chat, Brother.
Okay, yeah, good.
Says, can you explain from the Murli today? First, meditating with open eyes. Second, spinning the discus of self-realization.
Okay, this is more appropriate for our regular students. But why we meditate with eyes open, is that it? Okay, that's a pretty good question. And the other one is related to understanding time. I don't think we need to go there, because half of you wouldn't have done the course. How many of you haven't done our introductory Raj Yoga meditation course? You haven't done it. Okay, there's quite a few. So I won't go there, but because that question was related to some detailed part of our basic courses. But the other one about open-eyed meditation, in fact, it's if you learn to face life with courage, you face life with your open eyes. You don't need to run away. You don't need to close it out. You don't shut your ears when you meditate. You don't shut your nose, And it's not really with your eyes open, looking and staring at something. It's actually you're just there, unfocused, and your attention is within. If you learn how to do that, you can be in a meditative state when you're driving, not the deep meditation, obviously, but you can be walking around in a meditative state. You don't have to, when something bad happens, you don't have to, wait a minute, let me sit down, put my, lotus pose and close eyes, and then I'll work it out. No, you have to face it in real time with your eyes open. And therefore, we learn to meditate. If you look at the old statues of yogis, you'll find them with their eyes open too. It's like it's a symbol of not being afraid. Actually, you can take on anything, and it's very different. The sort of meditation that we do is very different because all types of meditation, there must be about 50 types around. They all start off pretty much the same, by just becoming relaxed and detached and aware. I guess everything starts with that basic awareness. But Raj Yoga, what it is, it sort of, it's not that I'm just observing things. Two other things are there. I understand what it is that I'm observing, really, and I understand who it is that's doing the observing internally. So the observer, the act of observing, and what is being observed, I understand the three things. That's what we do in Raj Yoga. So it's sort of an add-on to the basic forms of meditation where you're just observing, basically. You're changing the way you see things because you understand them and you understand yourself better. So to do all that, you don't need to close your eyes. In fact, if the whole thing is about observation, it seems strange to say you want to close your eyes. Normally we observe things with our eyes open. Let me face life with my eyes open. That's our slogan. Anything else on the chat? That's it?
Yeah, that was it.
Okay, great. So thank you all. We'll have just a minute of silence and then so Om Shanti.
Shanti.
Have a good rest of the weekend.